This is how I was sitting, and I don't know, I felt uneasy, and I just, I don't know. I just put my hand in my bum bum, and I thought, blood.
Yeah, that's it. First Kiss Podcast.
Hello, you're welcome to my YouTube channel. I am the Global Priska. Yes, I'm pretty sure that the thumbnail or the description dragged you here, pulled you here because you're curious. What happened? And how can this fine girl be short? What did she get herself into and all of that? Well, I'm here documenting this because I want to document it, and I find myself, I feel like I'm going to forget it because it still feels unreal. It feels unreal that all of the things that I've gone through this past few months happened to me. Wow. And it's my own way of saying that, to be appreciative to God and say, God, I'm grateful for sparing me, for sparing my life, and to tell the devil that he can only try, but he failed, and he failed woefully. Yes. So, getting straight into the video without wasting time, on December 14th, 2024, I was going to a wedding. And funny enough, coincidentally, this is the dress, the bridesmaid's dress that I was supposed to be wearing on December 14th. I was traveling for a wedding. I was traveling to Makodi for a wedding with my fiance and my friend. My fiance was supposed to be the best man, and I was supposed to be part of the bridesmaids. So, backstory is that my fiance unwell, had been unwell the day before. That was the 13th. That was the 13th of December, and signs were just showing as if, and it was like we're not going to be able to, go for the wedding. But it was important because he was supposed to be the groom, and the best man, and I was supposed to be part of the groom bridesmaids. Please pardon me. So we had to go. I don't know how to drive yet, and my friend does not know how to drive yet. Several things happened on the 13th, but we wanted to make sure that we were present for that wedding. So we left Abuja in the evening. We left Abuja late, and we just started going. All through the journey, he was shivering, he was running temperature, would stop on the road, we stopped several times on the road for him to, relax, take a nap, and all of that. So we're just going quietly. And please note that there is no flight from Abuja to Makodi. You can only get there by road. I don't think they don't have an airport. I don't think so. So of course we had to go by road. So fast forward to all of the slow down. We slept, we stopped over. We were doing a lot of stopovers, and um, it was around 4 a.m. I think it was around 4 a.m. when we started moving again. I mean, it was almost morning, and we felt like, oh, it's better to just, you know, it's better to just go now and get there on time, get there early, and prepare for for the wedding. It was a Saturday. So we had left Lafia. We had just left Lafia, Nasarawa Lafia, and we're like less than an hour away from Makodi when we had passed the police checkpoint. And my fiance was driving. I was sitting at the front. My friend was lying down. She was sleeping at the back. And after we passed the police checkpoint, I think maybe 10 or 15 minutes after, we saw another checkpoint. And this checkpoint was looking suspicious. I think I was feeling a bit sleepy. I wasn't, yeah, I was a bit sleepy, but I was monitoring. I was the one monitoring, doing the co-pilot, monitoring my fiance. And he slowed down because we saw ahead a checkpoint. We saw leaves, when a truck stops by the road, and we saw leaves on the floor, and then we saw people, people standing. We were wondering, so while all of this was going on, he was slowing down, and so we were like maybe a few meters away from them. But while we were trying to gauge the situation, you know how fireworks are, how fireworks sparks. So I saw something like that sparking. Apparently, they were trying to load the car. Please, I might laugh and I might react in some certain ways because even when I remember it, it still feels like a movie. It feels like feels unreal. It feels unreal. So they were, loading the gun or whatever that means. They were cocking the gun. Haha. So my heart is beating so fast as I'm remembering again. Um, so they were cocking the gun, and we didn't. We had not realized what was going on. By the time what made us realize what was going on was after he had cocked the gun, he pointed directly at the driver. He pointed directly at the driver and shot. That was how we knew that we were being attacked. We were under an attack. And all of the things that happened in the next few minutes was like a movie. First off, that shot, of course, was aimed at him. Thankfully, thankfully. Of course, it was aimed at him to, to gun him down. Whether it was supposed to be a headshot or for his heart or chest, I don't know. Oh, I don't know how God did it because it could have only been God. The bullets came in through the front window and sliced his face. It was like a flesh wound because it just sliced his face and went to the back. Thankfully, my friend was lying down and sleeping. Oh my god. If she had been sitting down at the back, the bullet would have, and she's tall, she's on the tall side, probably would have hit her on her head. She too would have she would have gotten a headshot. Thankfully. Now, how do I come into what happened to me? Yeah, you'll be wondering. So, while all of this, while the bullets, while the shots at him directly, we knew we were under attack. And by God's grace, I just started hearing him speaking in tongues. I started speaking in tongues. I was shouting. I was speaking in tongues. And then I think he was saying like, "Oh, get down, get down." I can remember that I was hearing Henrietta's voice, my friend's voice. I think she was asking what's going on. Get down, get down. I was couldn't couldn't fathom. You know how everything is. Everything. You have 1 million thoughts going through your mind, and I bent down. We're laying low, and they kept on shooting, of course. But while my fiance, after the first shot, of course, he was speaking in tongues. I was speaking in tongues, and then he just went into reverse. He just reversed the car, and he reversed. As he was reversing, of course, they kept on shooting and they kept on shooting. And while we were reversing out of the situation, I don't even know. I did not even know. I got hit. I got hit. They were shooting because the sides of the car, we saw gunshots around the sides of the car. We saw one, like, it was definitely aimed at every one of us. One was straight to the driver, one behind, aimed for Henrietta. And thankfully, Henrietta's box was the one that prevented the one coming from the back. It, it's destroyed her suitcase. The bullet destroyed her suitcase. She could not, she had to get another bag. And most of her dresses were ruined because the bullet through burned through her clothes. Now, for my own, the what's it called? The bullet entered through the side of the door. They shot the side of the door, and the bullet went through the side of the door into the seats and into my bum bum. I didn't know that I was shot. I only felt a vibration, and when I felt that vibration, like I felt like, oh, that's it was from the impact of of course, the car was being shot at. It was probably the bullet had hit the car. That was why I felt the vibration. And when I felt that vibration, I remember clearly I was just speaking in tongues. And reversed out of the situation. And after we did that, my fiance was like, "Oh, hope everybody's okay. Hope you're fine." I'm like, yes, oh, yeah, okay. And I just, this is how I was sitting. And just, I don't know, I felt uneasy. And I just, I don't know. I just put my hand in my bum bum and I saw blood. I was like, Lord. My fiance started freaking out. And I'm like, okay, calm down. I had to recline. I had to recline the seat and laid on my stomach. Then the blanket that my fiance was using to cover his body because he was shivering. Obviously, the fever disappeared. I mean, adrenaline kicked in and the fever disappeared. And it was the same blanket that he was using to, cover himself because he was shivering, was all we're using to stop the bleeding. Now, a lot of miracles happened. Mm. And what I was just remembering was, I cannot die. I cannot die. And I just remembered, the first person that I thought about was my mom. And I said, wow, mommy P. My mom, my mom, I remembered her prayer. Oh, Niku sono bi efi. My mom is Yoruba. She said, oh, Niku sono bi efi. You will not die on the road like smoke. I don't know if I got that right. And I just held on to that word. My mom has prayed for me. I cannot die now. No, my story cannot end here. I cannot die now. It's not my time to die. I kept saying it. I kept saying it. Now I was concerned. I don't know. I don't want this video to be long. I was concerned that I would not be bleeding too much. You know, I've heard several cases. We have several cases of people dying, bleeding out, dying because they bled too much before they go to the hospital. Of course, so we had to get a hospital, and I kept on saying, "Oh, am I still bleeding?" I felt very thirsty. They didn't allow me to drink water, but somehow I eventually drank water. It wasn't how I told my fiance. Like just recently, I told him that I drank water that night. Too. I was very parched. I was very parched. I drank water, and water was not even cold. It was hot. Remember, water wasn't cold. We started looking for a hospital. I'm going to put the video. I told Henrietta, please just record me. Let me see because I wanted to see the situation. Of course I couldn't see the room. I wanted to see. She recorded me and I was even smiling because I didn't even know how serious the situation or maybe I don't know. Maybe that's just who I am. I've just been laughing. And we did that. We did the video. I'm going to put all of the, all of the things in the video you're going to be seeing. And the first hospital we got to, the first, of course, we passed the same policeman that we had passed. We told him, oh, where's the nearest way? He said, oh, sorry, oh. I remember. He said, oh, sorry, oh, that we should go back into town, into Lafia, and that we would get a hospital. Went to the first hospital, they were on strike. It was a teaching hospital. We went to the second hospital, it was like a clinic. All this, yeah, I think it was a clinic. Said there was no doctor. I just told them, please help me. Don't let me to die. Let me sit down. They said, no, 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 don't sit down. Shaka. The fortunate thing was that I was able to come out of the car. I was able to walk. Oh God, that was the first miracle. Was it the first miracle or the 1 millionth miracle? I was able to walk down. We walked back into the car, I laid down again, and we went to the third hospital. The clinic people, they described another hospital to us, who would be able to take care of us that night. And we got to police clinic, and they attended to us. My jumpsuit, I loved that jumpsuit. Jumpsuit was shredded, and they started treatment, and it was basically just first aid that they did to stabilize me. They said we are going to do a scan, an X-ray in the morning to figure out what was going on. I was in pain, of course. I was in pain, and everything stabilized. Of course, the first person that I called was my pastor, and I just kept on listening. I just went to YouTube and started listening to his devotional. And when they were doing the treatment, pastor it was one old video, I think from 2 years ago or 2023. He was just thanking God. I was just saying, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. If you check one of these pictures, I think I'm going to zoom it out. You see my pastor's face in there when they were treating, doing the first aid. I was just saying, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. I want to thank God because I don't think I lost much blood. I kept on asking my fiance and Henrietta, am I still bleeding? They said, no. Apparently, I didn't bleed too much. to lose too much blood, but I had to take 2 pints of blood eventually, and which is amazing. That was the first phase. That was the first phase of the miracle. In the morning, I went for a scan. We saw where the bullet was. We saw that the bullet penetrated into my buttocks and just stopped. It went through from the right buttocks and stopped at the left buttocks, and it just stopped there. It did not hit any sensitive organ. It did not hit. It just entered and stayed there. You could have only been God. And thinking about it, I remember that my chair was a bit reclined to the back, where I wasn't really seated. I think if I was really seated like this, because the way that the bullet, if it was the way that I was really seated, it would have hit my hip bone. It would have hit my hip bone, and that would have been that whole thing. And of course, I would not be able to walk and all. But I want to thank God. I thank God for that. So I think I spent about 2 days in the police clinic, and then the wound started smelling. Of course, the bullet burned through, so it was a lot of dead tissues, a lot of dead. They were calling the wound a dirty wound. So they kept on treating. I kept on receiving drips and all of that. I couldn't eat. I couldn't eat anything. I was throwing up everything that I was eating, but I was on drip, and I think we spent 2 or 3 days there before we were now referred to that other hospital that we were on strike. Apparently, I think the next on Tuesday, okay, it was on Saturday. I stayed in the hospital on Saturday. I stayed there on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Oh, I spent 4 days. That was a long time. Did I spend up to 4 days? Well, they called off the strike. Yes, they called off the strike on Tuesday. They called off the strike on Tuesday, and they referred us to the teaching hospital on Thursday or Wednesday, thereabout. So during that period when I was in police clinic, the wound started smelling. Like I started smelling, and you know how intestine off house of meat when it's bad, or just generally how off house of meat smell. Oh God, the smell was so bad. Like it was filling the whole hospital. And I think one doctor was so upset. He was like, "What is smelling?" Even me, you can imagine. Kept on using spray, I think. Using spray. Was it that time when we bought spray? It was smelling. So one of the doctors, I think the first time the doctor said he's going to refer us to the teaching hospital. The second time he came said that this police clinic cannot really handle it. It's too big for them. So they referred us to police clinic. To the teaching hospital in Lafia. And it was when we got to teaching hospital in Lafia that the treatment started proper. That was when they did debridement. So the whole, of course, the what was it called? The wound was just a tiny hole where the bullet entered through. Of course, it didn't come out here. It didn't come out because if it had come out, it would have left a big gash. Wow, it would have exploded too. But it didn't do that. It just stopped. And so um the debridement, they needed to figure out how, it was smelling. They needed to see how deep the wound was, and they had to do debridement. They put anesthesia around where the bullet holes were, and they now opened it up. I was awake, of course. I could feel the tear. I could feel them tearing my body, but I couldn't feel the pain. I don't know if you feel that, when somebody is doing like this to you, but you are not feeling the pain. I felt it, and so they tore my buttocks open. And that was how we saw how deep the wound was. It was deep. Like you can imagine from looking at me how my buttocks, from one buttocks to the other buttocks, and then my anus is in between. So that was when we discovered that there was a perforation in my anus. The first time when, okay, so while they did the debridement, that was when we discovered that at the police clinic they had forgotten 2 gauze inside my body, and that was what added to the smell. Because the nurses, they were on rotation. One nurse would come, and they were not tying. What the doctors were saying was that they should have tied the gauze. The gauze is, you can Google gauze to see what gauze looks like. So gauze they were supposed to tie so that once they want to change the dressing, once they pull it out, everything will come out together. But they were just packing. They were just packing. They were packing with was it Wosan, and you know when they want to change the dressing, they take it out, and so they forgot. We don't know how long it had been for, if they had forgotten, but it added to the smell. So they took it. That was when they saw the the gauzes they forgot inside the wound. So that was when my journey started. They put me on sit baths. Sit baths means that I would sit on inside hot water with salt. We mix hot water and salt. We mix it together, lots of salt. So you know the biggest bag of salt, the biggest sack of salt. We use that up within 2 weeks because we used one full bag. We used it up within 2 weeks. Christmas before New Year's, before New Year, because we had to buy another one before New Year, before we left Lafia. So it was horrible. It was horrible. So when we finally settled in at the teaching hospital, I liked the teaching hospital. You know, the doctors were much more communicative. The nurses, they were paying attention. They were on rotation and they were, paying attention. But the pain, oh my lord, the pain, oh my god, I would not wish it on anybody. The seat bath was usually morning and evening. The morning and evening, and it's usually for 30 minutes. Never looked forward to them because in the morning, by the time you sit, you clean, and then they were dressing with honey. They were dressing with honey because the wound was very dirty. I might put images of how the wound was. I don't know. This is a disclaimer. If things irritate you a lot, you might just want to skip it and not see it. So they were dressing with honey, and the honey would be dripping. We were using angel wipes. We're using a pack of angel wipes within 2 days. It was crazy. The sit bath, the screaming. Imagine pouring salt on your wound, but I was sitting in. Oh, Jesus Christ. The screams, morning and evening. The screams, the morning and in the evening. Excruciating, excruciating. During the dressing as well, I would be screaming. Oh, God. Just thank God. One time I wished for death because of the pain. Because of the pain. So I think a few days after we got to the teaching hospital, um while they wanted to dress me, they saw something that looked like poo poo in the wound. And they kept asking, is this poo? I was like, and unfortunately, I was not eating, so I was not able to poo. So I wasn't sure. But when we got to the to the federal teaching hospital, I was stabilized. I started eating, and I wasn't sure enough. I think it was just once they gave me anti-vomit there. But in police clinic, I was taking anti-vomit every day. And should I talk about the trauma as well? Once it was close to, once it was 3:30 to 4, I would just be awake. I'll be unable to sleep. And it was not until I told my fiance, it's like, once it's almost that time, no matter what, I would just be awake. I don't know. It wasn't like I would be scared, but I would just be awake. So he was like, I should not allow it to be a stronghold and that I should not even overthink it. So when it continued, I think after I had a discussion with him, I would just play songs and I would just sleep off. And Messi Chinwo songs, oh my god. Messi Chinwo songs were a blessing to me. I just kept them on repeat. I was just playing her songs. And so back to where they were contemplating if it was poo or if it was not. I was like, no, it cannot be poo now. And they were like, if it was poo, they might have to do a diversion, which is called colostomy. You might have seen it online where they would channel the anus to rectum to the stomach, where either here or here, where your, your um I was passing out feces from my stomach, basically. Oh my god, I started freaking out. I was like, it's not possible. No, it's not feces that came out and everything. And when we finally discovered, I think a few days after, when I discovered that it was feces and there was a perforation somewhere in my rectum. And whenever I was passing stool be coming out from my bum bum. I don't know if that will be allowed on YouTube. I'll try to put it, I have videos, I have pictures of. So over time, every time I was using the toilet, I was poo-pooing, who was coming out from there. But so when they established that, I was already freaking out. I called my pastor. I had to send a voice note to pastor. My voice was shaking. I was like, I'm not scared, oh, but this thing that they want to do, I don't want it. So thankfully, the doctors changed their mind. They were like, okay, since I'm already on antibiotics, that they would not do the colostomy. They would just, monitor it. The antibiotics will fight um the bacteria of the poo. And since I was already doing sit baths, I was already sitting on inside hot water and salt water, and all of that would, kill the bacteria. So whenever I did take off the dressing every morning, I was sitting inside the hot water, hot salt water, sitting for 30 minutes, my whole body would be hot. The drama that I used to act during that period, even I myself, I don't used to understand. My whole body was shaking. I was screaming. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Spent Christmas in Lafia. There was nobody. It was my fiance that was running around buying food, buying medicine, buying rugs, buying everything. Oh God. Sometimes when he's done doing all of the errands, he would just crash on one of the beds. I mean, I was always naked. 'Cause why would I want to wear clothes? There was a permanent shield. I don't know what they call it. This thing they use in the hospital to shield. There was a permanent shield. Two of it are on my bed because I was always naked and I was always screaming. The pain, and I'd feel the pain for the pain was constant. I mean, pain was I became used to pain, and one thing that my pastor told my fiance was that when he was praying, that God said if she can feel pain, that means that she's alive. The dead does not feel pain, and I just held on to that word. I remember, I remember one time I was sitting inside. I was doing the sit bath, and I was like, "Pain is my friend." Pain is my friend. I'm alive. I was psyching myself up to sit it. Like I myself would sit inside hot water. Well, not like boiling hot water. I would sometimes would allow it to, cool off a bit, but it would still be hot. And the salt, of course, it was not even only about the hotness of the water. Over time we allowed it to, become warm. But the salt, the stinging of the salt, my God. Please try it. Have one small wound and pour some salt on it. Not to now imagine a full, how wide the wound had become and sitting down inside salt. Was, was something else, but I thank God. Look at me. I can sit now. For months. For months, I was lying on my stomach. For months. My tailbone, oh my Jesus. My tailbone, oh God. Before I could lie down on my side. Oh Jesus, the crying, the screams. I could move. I could start lying down on my two sides, or even on this side. Thank God, my tailbone. God has been faithful. The healing process is complete by God's grace. I'll come back and share how the healing process, all of the other technicalities and all of that. Yeah. So that was how I survived gunshot. Gunshot to my bum bum, to my beautiful, precious bum bum. Yeah. So thank you for listening to my story, my testimony, and yeah, God can do anything. Please, if you're doubting God, trust God. Oh, me and God, me and this Jesus is for life. Oh. It's for life. This business is for life. Yeah. It's peace, love, and amala. Thank you for coming here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Please like my video. Please comment. Please share my testimony all around. I am Global Fresca. It's peace, love, and amala. Ciao.
PQ. Let me hear you say PQ.